ये स्टार्ट हो गया? उनको दिख रहा है? Hare Krishna. Warm welcome to all of you for today's session. The topic for today's discussion is backbone of spirituality. Before we start the session, we will offer our prayers, seek the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, previous acharyas, and Lord Shri Krishna, so that we can have a very fruitful and meaningful discussion. And by their blessings, go back with a lot of learnings, lot of new insights which we can apply in our daily lives. So depending on the situation at your end, you can either join me in offering these prayers, or you can just fold your hands or be with me while I offer these prayers, so that we start the session with seeking the blessings of Lord Shri Krishna. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Namo Brahmane Devaya Go Brahmane Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today's discussion I have broadly divided in 4 broad categories or 4 broad subtopics. The first one would be, what is spiritual life? In line with the topic, backbone of spirituality. What is spirituality? Why practice spirituality? I'll touch upon that. And then the second one would be, what is the backbone if we have to have a very nice, healthy, genuine spiritual growth? What is the most important thing which we should lay emphasis on, which we should prioritize, which we should not compromise? So we'll talk about that, the backbone of spirituality. Third, we'll talk about the importance of Brahma Muhurta. All of us have heard about Brahma Muhurta, importance of waking up during Brahma Muhurta and engaging in spiritual practices during Brahma Muhurta. What's the significance? What benefit we accrue? Why we should not miss this most important time of the day? We'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about some practical do's and don'ts. If we have to have a healthy spiritual growth, as I mentioned earlier, even in the Gita, Krishna talks about many instructions, practical instructions, which if we apply in our lives, we can do quite well in our spiritual life, spiritual growth. And obviously, we will have a lot of time allocated for answering to the questions which you might ask as we progress in the sessions. Feel free to ask the questions and I'll take it up towards the end. First, what is spiritual life? What is spirituality? We are a spirit, soul, and Atma, and we are in this material world. And Prabhupada says, just like rain, when it falls from the sky, the rainwater is quite pure. But depending on where it falls, if it falls on a muddy place, the rainwater also becomes muddy. Likewise, we are spirit souls, we are pure. Being Amsha of the Lord, we also share the same quality of that Lord, which is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. We are eternal, Sat. We are full of knowledge, and we are Ananda, blissful. We have come in this material world. Again, we will not get into discussion on why we have come in this world. We are currently in the material world, having a material body. An Atma is embodied, has a body, material body, is made of 5 material elements, gross elements: earth, air, water, fire, and ether, and 3 subtle elements, which is also called subtle body, which is manas, buddhi, and ahankara, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So broadly speaking, it's the soul covered by gross body and a subtle body. And we have a lot of material desires. The soul is covered by different degrees of lust. Krishna also in the Gita says, just like embryo covered in the womb, just like the mirror is covered by dust, all living entities are covered by different degrees of lust: Kama, Krodh, Moh, Lo, Matsarya. So we are conditioned souls. In that sense, we have become dirty. We have lost our original quality of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Actually, as eternal souls, we have no fear of death because we are quite realize that I am eternal. But currently, more so in present times, all of us are concerned about the coronavirus, getting infected, or even worried about death. That's because we are in a conditioned state. We are thinking that I am the body and this body can die. So that's how we are anxious, or we can have some kind of worry because we identified with the body. And this Atma is taking many births in this material world. There are 84 lakh species according to different desires. Karmana daiva netrena jantur deha utpatyate. Jantur means the Atma gets different bodies. So what is the macro understanding? The Atma is there, it's come in this material world, has got a material body, and this body can be any one of those 84 lakh species of life: plants, birds, aquatics, reptiles, human beings. And based on our karma, based on our desires, we keep getting material bodies one after another. Punarapi janma, punarapi marana. Only in human form of life, Srila Prabhupada says, in all life forms, the living entity has a father and a mother. Just like we see in the birds, animals, they also have young ones, they also have love, they also have emotions. But only in human form of life, living entity, the Atma, has the ability to understand higher dimensions of existence, who I am, who God is, what's my relationship with God, why I am in this material world, why I have to encounter so many material miseries like Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, much against our wish. None of us want to get infected, but there are people who are getting infected. There are people much against their wish dying. So this is happening life after life. Only in human form of life we can practice spirituality. We can practice spiritual life. What is spiritual life? That life which is based on principles, some application of the knowledge which our scriptures are sharing, life based on those instructions, which will help us come out of this engagement, this embodied state, the state where we are caught up in the cycle of birth and death. So in that sense, spiritual life is just like we have ultimate goal of life. They say dharma, artha, kama and moksha, to free ourselves from this cycle of birth and death. And to do that, we have to follow a lot of scriptural injunctions, some do's and don'ts, regulate our life, regulate our mind, regulate our senses, control over our lower vasanas, our urges. So the sum total of following of those regulations, those principles, those instructions is called spiritual life. Now, what is the backbone of spiritual life? So now we are Amsha of the Lord, but right now in this material world, we have forgotten that relationship. In that sense, we are like orphans, lavaris. No doubt we have father, mother, but then we have forgotten our eternal father, our real father. So different forms of yoga systems which Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita, Yoga basically means to link or to connect. Link Atma with the Supreme Father, which is Lord Shri Krishna. So the different yoga systems are there. There's Karma Yoga, there is Jnana Yoga, there's Ashtanga Yoga, and then finally Krishna says Bhakti Yoga. Yoginam api sarvesham, of all the yogis, one who abides in me, always thinks of me, he is the highest. So, so Bhakti Yoga, different yogas enable us to connect or link us back to the Lord, revive our lost relationship. And that's how different yoga systems are there. Krishna also talks about it in the Gita. Now, in the Bhakti Yoga process, which Krishna says is the highest, there are different ways in which we can purify our consciousness and re-establish our lost relationship. Navavidha Bhakti, they say, 9 processes, and they are Shravanam. Shravanam means hearing about the Lord, hearing the glories of the Lord. Kirtanam, glorify the Lord, chant the names of the Lord. Vishnu Smaranam, if we have done Shravanam and Kirtanam, there is a very good possibility of Smaranam. We are able to think of the Lord. Right now, thinking of the Lord is alien to us. We are thinking of so many subject matter. It has completely captured our attention. Even if we have to sit for meditation and chant the names of the Lord, the mind keeps wandering. Smaranam is difficult. So like that, there are 9 processes: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, worship, Vandanam, offering prayers. So there are 9 processes, Navavidha Bhakti. And it begins with Shravanam and Kirtanam. So backbone of spirituality is a very good, solid sadhana program. What is sadhana? At the beginning stages, our devotion to the Lord or our devotional activities or spiritual activities called Sadhana Bhakti. Sadhana Bhakti entails a lot of rules and regulations, a lot of do's and don'ts. And eventually, we reach a stage of Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti means where there is spontaneous attraction to the Lord, spontaneous remembrance of the Lord. In the initial stages, because we do not have remembrance of the Lord, we don't have taste for spiritual activities. It's all about rules and regulations. Just like getting up early in the morning. Our Shastras say we should sleep early, get up early, and start the day with devotional activities, offering prayers to the Lord, chanting the names of the Lord, reading Bhagavad Gita. So this activities all come within the domain of Sadhana Bhakti. We follow on the instructions of a very expert spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada, who has given us many instructions, do's and don'ts: chant 16 rounds, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, and many other rules and regulations, starting the day with Mangalarti. So this package of all this spiritual activities, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, is called the Sadhana program. And good sadhana, or for that matter, good morning sadhana, I'll emphasize why morning. Good morning sadhana program is the backbone of our spiritual life. Backbone is a very important aspect of our body. If there is spinal injury or injury to the back, At times it can be very painful and it can last for many, many years. It's a very important part of our body, the spine, the vertebrae, all the back, because it supports the whole body. So this morning sadhana program, which involves Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, thinking of the Lord, offering prayers, doing an arti, worshipping the Lord, engaged in various devotional activities, is called the backbone of spirituality. Unless we have a solid sadhana program, a good regimen on a daily basis, we will not be able to advance in our spiritual life. Just like we get dirty on a daily basis, we start our day with a morning bath, and then as we step out of a house, or even when we are in the house, we perspire, more so in the summer season, and then our body accumulates dirt from the environment, and we feel tired, we feel dirty, and we again take a bath to refresh or to freshen up. So just like the body gets dirty, likewise the soul also, we see so many things which puts the dirt on the soul, which is not in the real self-interest of the soul. We hear so many things which actually brings us down, spiritually maybe sapping our so-called spiritual energy. Likewise, we may do certain activities which may be detrimental to our spiritual growth. So just like our body gets dirty, the soul also can get spiritually sapped. And on a daily basis, we need to recharge ourselves. Just like our mobile phones, on a daily basis, the battery gets discharged as we use the phone. And then in the morning or maybe the previous night, we keep it on charge. We keep for charging, and then the phone gets charged, the battery gets charged, and it's ready for use the next day. So likewise, spiritual life means that yes, Maya is there. There are different forces which is covering up our consciousness, which is making our consciousness dirty. And we have to, on a daily basis, engage in activities which will purify our consciousness, which will reconnect us back with the Lord. There are many activities which disconnect us with the Lord, which makes us forget the Lord. So we have to engage in activities on a daily basis which will reconnect us with the Lord, purify our consciousness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, on a daily basis, when we start the Srimad Bhagavatam class, we say, Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nityam, on a daily basis, when we hear about the Lord, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, all the dirty things, all the misgivings, all the wrong conceptions, all the wrong paradigms, all the wrong ideas which are accumulated in our minds, slowly starts getting washed away. The right perceptions gets built, the right vision. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. Our eyes which are darkened, blinded with darkness of ignorance, they open up. We are able to see things as they are. By the way, every one of us are seeing the world differently based on the paradigms we have, based on the conceptions we have in it, based on the knowledge which we have in our mind-body system. So, good morning sadhana, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam is the backbone of spiritual life. The next point is, having understood that spiritual life is important and backbone of spirituality is these important elements of Sadhana Bhakti, which is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. What is the best time? We all know that throughout the day we have so many engagements, so many activities to engage in, so many responsibilities, so many distractions. So many people trying to call us. So life can be, especially if you want to practice these principles, Shravanam, you want to hear uninterruptedly or you want to chant, there could be a lot of distractions. So the best time for practicing these principles or engaging in these activities is the morning time, or for that matter, to be more precise, the Brahma Muhurta time. What is Brahma Muhurta? All of us have heard about Brahma Muhurta. Brahma Muhurta is also called Brahma. Brahma is Lord Brahma, who is the creator. It's also called the creator's hour. It's a very, very important time of the day. And Muhurta, each Muhurta is for 48 minutes. And Brahma Muhurta is the penultimate Muhurta before sunrise. In other words, it starts 96 minutes before sunrise. Now, mind you, Brahma Muhurta start time can vary from place to place depending on what time the sun is rising in that particular place. So it starts 96 minutes before sunrise and it lasts for 48 minutes, which is 48 minutes before sunrise. The end time is 48 minutes before sunrise. So that 48 minutes period is called the Brahma Muhurta. 48 minutes it lasts, it ends 48 minutes before sunrise and starts 96 minutes before sunrise. The total duration is 48 minutes. Again, we don't have to be very precise that I have to get up at that time and I have to necessarily stop all activities, spiritual activities, as soon as the Brahma Muhurta time ends. No. Just for our understanding that this morning time, 1.5 hours before sunrise, is very, very prime time. Just like in television also, there's a prime time where a lot of people are watching the television. So all the ad companies, they're looking for prime time because that's when they get the maximum mileage if they put an ad. So even for a person who wants to grow spiritually, practice spiritual life, this is the prime time. Why Brahma Muhurta is the prime time? Because this is a time where there's a lot of Sattva-guna. They say as day passes by, the day starts, morning time before sunrise or even after sunrise, Sattva-guna is predominant. There are many reasons why Brahma Muhurta is very special. One of the reasons is Sattva-guna is very prominent. As day passes by, the Rajoguna becomes prominent. Lot of action, lot of activities gets triggered. We have seen how as the day starts, a lot of activities gets triggered, lot of action, and then towards the end of the day, it's mode of ignorance, or tamoguna is prominent. That's how you'll see a lot of bars, pubs, brothels, all that become active during the night time. The temples open in the morning time, daytime, early morning. Or for that matter, all places of, irrespective of religion, all places of worship, they start the activities morning time. So Brahma Muhurta time is very special time. It starts 96 minutes before sunrise. Sattva-guna is very... Any spiritual activity done during that time has a multiplier effect. If we have had good night's sleep, then the mind is very peaceful, the environment is very peaceful. If we are also very quite rested and relaxed, we can engage in our spiritual activities without any distraction, without any disturbance. Most of the world, most of the people are sleeping at that time. These days people sleep late and then get up late. So you will not have any phone calls, you will not have any distractions, you will have nobody to come and ask you something. You can get up and with a very solid plan for what you're going to do first, what you're going to do next. You can plan your so-called the morning sadhana. Now, it is very important. A lot of people may abruptly try to get up in the morning without making proper changes as far as the sleeping time is concerned, or for that matter, ensuring that we get a good night's sleep. Assuming we are not properly rested and suddenly we get up in the morning, then quite possible we may say that, I'm not able to chant properly. I'm feeling very sleepy. I'm feeling very drowsy. So over a period of time, yes, spiritual life, it's not we don't perfect our spiritual growth in a day. There's a lot of practice is involved. We will make mistakes, just like a child when learns to walk. He will wobble and he may fall. Again he gets up, again he tries to walk, and a time comes when he starts running. So likewise, even spiritual life is like a journey. It's not that from day one we will perfect, but at least we should know what is an ideal scenario which we should aim for. The ideal scenario is we sleep early. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And we have seen many accomplished people, many successful people, including entrepreneurs, including CEOs of this world, they all start the day early. They get up early and then they have various activities which they have incorporated in their morning ritual, which rejuvenates them physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So, ideal scenario is we sleep on time, sleep quite early, and get up on time. Ideally, again, we can slowly work on that. We should sleep at the same time every day. I understand there will be a lot of challenges, a lot of practical difficulties when we are staying in a family, when you're staying outside. There could be a lot of challenges. I understand that. But at least we should aspire for, we should work in that direction. Whatever is possible for us to do. Sometimes it could be because of our laziness. We just want to watch some television mindlessly, watch some news channels. Whatever is possible, we should aspire for sleeping on time, irrespective of day of the week. Not on weekends we can relax a little bit, get up a little late. Ideally, we should sleep at the same time and get up at the same time. Then what happens is the body clock gets set. Then there is no struggle to get up in the morning. For many of us, if you want to get up in the morning, it can become a very big struggle. It can be a fight between the bed and the mattress, mind and the mattress. The mattress pulls us back. So we can achieve a time where getting up is quite smooth, quite seamless, and after getting up, we are quite fresh. We look forward for engaging in these activities. It's no longer a struggle. So we get up in the morning and then start the day with prayers, obviously for ablutions, wash our face, brush our teeth, all that, take a bath, and engage in various activities. Now, one thing we are saying that we have to get up in the morning. It's a prime time for practicing spiritual activities, and we also talked about Brahma Muhurta time, and for that the preparation begins the day before. In other words, we have to sleep well and sleep on time. Now, to sleep on time and to sleep well, again there are some do's and don'ts which most of us have heard about. It's said it is best, we should aspire for, it's an ideal scenario if we can have the last meal for the day, in other words our dinner, before sunset, let's say 6:30 p.m. or latest by 7 p.m. We have and keep at least 2.5 hours to 3 hours gap before between our last meal and our sleep time, so that the food gets digested. A lot of energy can get consumed in our body for digesting the food, and if we have taken a heavy meal, more so in the night time, a lot of energy which can be used during sleep time to regenerate the body can be used to digest the food. In digesting the food, and quite possible we'll have to sleep longer, or when we get up in the morning we will feel groggy, will not feel rested. So the best is we can have a light meal. They say, again, there are different opinions, but I've heard from many sources, they say have your breakfast like a king. Although these days there is a lot of talk about intermittent fasting and morning time, try to have a say 12 to 16 hours gap between your last meal and your breakfast. But nevertheless, they say have your breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. Another place I read talked about that have your breakfast, share your lunch with your friend. In other words, don't eat everything. Have a light lunch, relatively lighter lunch, share it with your friend, and give your dinner to an enemy. In other words, again, the principle is the same. Keep your dinner light. So if we have had a light dinner, and assuming that our circumstances are quite pressing in the family and everyone is having late dinner time, so we can avoid having heavy dinner. Even assuming that we have to have dinner as late as 9 p.m. because everyone in the family eats together, we cannot be odd men out, we can have a light dinner. And try to keep a gap of 2.5 hours between the dinner time and the sleep time. Sleep on time, early to bed, and then try to get up in the morning at the prescribed time, if possible before Brahma Muhurta time. And then if we are properly rested, Krishna in the Gita says one who eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough cannot be a yogi. So there is very fine balance which we have to strike. On one side, eating too much is also bad, eating too little also can be not good for our body. Sleeping too much can be bad, and sleeping too little can also. What if a person sleeps at 11:30 in the night and gets up at 4 o'clock? Quite possible he'll feel very sleepy, drowsy, groggy, and not be fresh enough to engage in spiritual activities. Even if it is during Brahma Muhurta time, it could be counterproductive. So we have to, that's why there's a lot of discipline required, a lot of regulation required. Krishna also in the Gita says one who is regulated in his eating, sleeping, recreation and work. Regulation. In human form of life, we can discipline ourselves. Sometimes we get disciplined by force of circumstances. There is a possibility that we can also discipline ourselves voluntarily. For example, some people are not able to eat sweets because diabetes, have the circumstances force them to discipline themselves in their eating. They can no longer have a binge eating on sweets. But we can voluntarily, understanding what's in our self-interest, voluntarily understand the do's and don'ts. Our scriptures, acharyas are revealing a lot of wonderful instructions for our self-interest, for our spiritual growth. So we can voluntarily incorporate that in our lives and discipline our lives. So avoid eating heavy food after sunset. Keep your dinner light. Keep 2 to 3 hours gap between the meal time and sleep time. If possible, more so in summers, we can take a bath before 1 hour before our sleep time. It can refresh ourselves. Avoid engaging in intense activities. Could be intense discussions, could be watching some horror movies, watching some adventure sports, activities which you know engages us too intensely, our minds. We can avoid, we can, so to say, slowly wind up. If you see in nature, if you go to a park or a garden, you will see as the sun is setting, there's a lot of chirping of birds on the trees and a lot of birds chirping. And as the sun sets, you see there's some kind of a rhythm in the nature. As the sun sets, you will see all that chirping slowly comes down. It dwindles. In other words, the nature winds up. And once the sun is set, all the birds also, so to say, they stop chirping. So we also can slowly engage in activities which we can slowly wind up. And very important, just like morning time, we start the day with spiritual activities. It's very important that we also sleep with right consciousness. So it is again very important if we can spend at least 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour in chanting or reading Gita or reading Krishna book or engaging in offering prayers. So last 15-20 minutes, even people say that what you do just 10-15 minutes before you sleep is very important, because that has a lot of bearing on all the kind of thoughts, experiences you go through while you are sleeping, the dreams you have, and also has a lot of effect on how you wake up, with what consciousness you wake up. So it is not a good option, it's not a good thing that we are watching some television, watching some news, and then slowly we doze off and we sleep. Ideally, we should sleep victoriously after having done some kind of night rituals. For example, washing our face, brushing our teeth, and then offering our prayers, reading some page, chanting one rounds. All those kinds of activities we can engage in, and sleep with proper consciousness. We should not crash into our bed. Sleep on time and then get up on time. And if you've got a good night's sleep, if you're properly rested, we'll be very fresh. And then for next 2 hours, 3 hours in the morning, we can engage in various kinds of spiritual activities like chanting, reading, hearing, offering prayers, doing some arati, worshipping the Lord. All these activities which will completely charge us, recharge us spiritually. And with that charge, when we are spiritually charged, with that spiritual charge, if we march into the world, when the world wakes up, we all have responsibilities, we all have duties to engage in. When we march into the world with that perspective, with spiritual charge, then quite possible that we will not get, so to say, overwhelmed with all our material duties, all our material responsibilities. We'll have a spiritual perspective. We'll have the sharp, discerning intelligence to make the right choices. Because life also throws up a lot of choices, what to eat, what not to eat, what to do, what not to do. And if we are spiritually charged, if we have had a good morning sadhana, then we will be in a very solid, good position to make the right choices as we move through the day. And then, as I mentioned, yes, even before we end the day, so Prabhupada talked about the morning sadhana, like the sandwich program. We have a layer of bread in the top and then layer of bread in the bottom, and then we have some filling in between, in the center. So likewise, start our day with the morning sadhana. It's the backbone of spirituality. End the day with some spiritual activities, and throughout the day, based on the circumstances we have been placed into, we'll have to engage in various activities, various duties. We try our best to remember the Lord, remain connected with the Lord. It can be challenging, but depending on how well we have charged ourselves spiritually in the morning, the charge will percolate, will remain. Again, just like in the battery, if your phone battery is fully charged and if you have a good battery, the charge will last the whole day. If assuming the battery is not good or you've not properly charged, just 30% charge, quite possible by lunchtime, the battery is completely drained out. So, so we have this morning program and the Brahma Muhurta time. I talked about certain do's and don'ts. If we incorporate all these things in our life, then we can practice good, healthy spiritual life. And there's a good possibility that we have good Krishna conscious, spiritual consciousness maintained. We elevate in our consciousness, we purify our consciousness. And Krishna in the Gita says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajti ante kalevram. Whatever your state of mind, whatever your consciousness is at the point of death, that kind of body we get in the next life. Last class we talked about Anta Narayana Sprita. The real success is if we are able to remember the Lord when we are leaving this body. We are conscious of the Lord. We have evoked our love for the Lord, remembrance of the Lord, attachment to the Lord, attraction to the Lord. And that is only possible, that's only possible if day after day, day after day, day after day we have engaged in our spiritual activities and charged ourselves. Every day we will get discharged. Every day we have to charge ourselves. And this morning program is the backbone of our spiritual life. So I'll stop here. I'll take some questions. I see a lot of questions which have been asked. So I'll try to go one by one. There could be some questions which I might have to skip. This is from Manikant Shendre. Is investing in mutual funds or trading on stock market leads to breaking of principle of no gambling? If yes, then what is the ideal way of saving money for future for devotees? Please advise. We answered this question in the last class. Stock market, we should understand what's the principle, why it is not advised or it's not advisable to engage in stock market. This thing, the principle is that if on a daily basis we are so worried about NAVs, the price of the shares coming up, going up or coming down, and it's agitating the mind constantly. We are worrying, should I sell, should I buy? That is not good. If suppose somebody sees some stocks and it's nice companies are there, which trend is that if you invest over a period of 1 year, the returns will be much more than what you get from a bank, and there's no harm in investing in that kind of stock. But it should not be on a daily basis we are monitoring the NAV, the stock prices, and always in anxiety, should I buy more, should I sell more? That should be avoided. That's the principle. Keeping this principle in mind, we can take a call as to how we should invest our money. This question is from Pooja Vijayaraj. Is it okay if I follow regulative principles, do sadhana, and at the same time aspire to grow professionally? There is no harm in aspiring to grow professionally, provided Prabhupada gives the example of 1 before zeros. All other material accomplishments are like zeros. If you have 2 zeros, put 2 zeros one after other, the value is 0. 3 zeros, 5 zeros, value is 0. But if you have 1 in front of the zeros, all the zeros have meaning. So in other words, if a person wants, assuming in his career wants to be a doctor or an engineer, aspires to be an architect, nothing wrong, provided he has made sure that 1 is not ignored, or in the process of achieving this so-called 0, we so to say ignore or compromise on keeping this 1. So if we are engaging in activities and it is completely derailing us from our spiritual growth, we should avoid engaging those activities. Otherwise, to grow professionally, there's nothing wrong about it. We can engage in our activities sincerely and keep Krishna in the center, keep Lord in the center. This question is from Anil Bhargav. Is chanting in man, when cannot say it loudly, equivalent to normal hearing chanting? In man, we are unable to hear the sound of Krishna. If we cannot hear the sound, how would Krishna incarnate? As you rightly pointed out, it is recommended that we chant loud enough that we can hear. There is mention of chanting within the mind, but that's for very advanced devotees. For us, it is recommended that we chant loud enough. Yes, if we get up in the morning, others are sleeping, people will get distracted. We cannot chant very loudly, but we should chant loud enough that we can hear. And in the Kali Yuga, the Lord has descended in the form of his name. Shabda Rupa Avatar, in his Shabda, holy name. And the potency is there in the sound vibration. Nam Nam Akari Bahuta Nija Sarva Shaktis. So we chant loud enough that we can hear. This question is from Niranjan Kumar. What is your opinion about Bhagwan Swaminarayan? In this sanstha, people asking Swaminarayan is avatar of Bhagwan Vishnu. Can we follow him for spiritual anand? I will not be in a position because I haven't gone deep into understanding of what is the Swaminarayan sect and what their teachings are. So I don't think I will be able to do justice to answer this question in terms of what is my opinion about them. Ravish Pandey, this question is from Ravish Pandey. What is the energy as per spirituality? How to increase our energy? So a lot of these days talk about energy healing, Reiki, pranic healing, they talk about energy. So, there is a spiritual force, prana shakti. When we engage in our morning spiritual activities, our spiritual force, the spiritual energy which is there in us, which is in our Prabhupada talks about internal energy, the spiritual energy. There is material energy, which is Maya Shakti, which is also called the external energy, which is pulling us down. And there is spiritual energy, internal energy of the Lord, internal potency of the Lord. So when we engage in spiritual activities, the morning sadhana, then we increase the influence of spiritual energy on us. The component of spiritual energy increases, and that's good for us. That's good for the soul. This question is from Soni Ashpal. I want to know that is it important to do chanting first in Brahma Muhurta or do the Mangala Arati when I do the Tulsi Arati and Mangala Arati and then start chanting at 6 a.m. Brahma Muhurta, most important thing is to engage in spiritual activities. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasam. It could be any one of them. And Prabhupada did recommend that we start the day offering Mangala Arati. So if you can offer Mangala Arati and then do the chanting, it's perfectly fine. This question is from Amitabh Srivastav. How to find my own spiritual master? Who is he and where does he live? How to find my true master? I can strongly recommend you to read Srila Prabhupada books and you will find that yes, he is a genuine spiritual master, and you will get the confidence, you will get that inner this thing that yes, I would like to have Prabhupada, like a person like Prabhupada as my spiritual master. This is Maumita Hazra. Prabhu, we have to take a bath in the Brahma Muhurta. Is it necessary? It is not must that we have to start. We cannot chant without taking a bath. It's not must. It's not mandatory. We can chant even before taking a bath. But if we take a bath, then we get, so to say, rejuvenated, our body gets refreshed, and we are in a better position to focus, better position to engage in spiritual activities. And also we are in a relatively purer state. When we have slept for 6 hours, 8 hours in the bed, and there's a lot of tamoguna. And if we take a bath, it helps. Although it is not mandatory, if it's too early for a person to take bath, he can start his spiritual activities and at the right time take the bath. This is from Bhuvana or Radha Krishna Iyer. Is Srila Prabhupada is lived by Vay's book. His books are so many. If you want to ask question, means read his books. No doubt Prabhupada lives in his books. Prabhupada can answer to all your questions in many ways. Prabhupada also has created this institution. Prabhupada also has his representatives, his devotees, whom we can associate with and get answers to all our questions. No doubt Prabhupada can himself answer through his books also. This question is from Amitabh Srivastav. If I have a question looking for a master, who can share direction? As I mentioned, we can read Srila Prabhupada books. We'll get answers to almost all of our questions. And not only Prabhupada books, we have Prabhupada's institutions. We have sincere devotees of Srila Prabhupada who are trying to follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions very meticulously. We can also associate with such devotees and seek answers to all our questions. This is Rashmi Kalro. How can I inspire my 25-year-old daughter get into bhakti, chanting, japa? Krishna in the Gita talks about we have the right to do our duty, but do not be attached to the results of our activities. More so when we are preaching or talking to our family members, we have to do our duty. We can tell them one time, 2 times, but we cannot force them. We cannot pester them. We cannot somehow cajole them, do it, do it, do it, do it. It can be counterproductive. It can so happen that because we are forcing them too much, they can be put off very badly, and whatever little interest they have in spiritual life, that also can get derailed. So we have to do our duty. Every one of us are at different levels in our spiritual growth. In human form of life also there are 4 lakh species. That species, the division is based on our spiritual level of consciousness. So in that sense, we can do our duty, but we cannot force someone to chant. Even if we force, they say you can force a horse, you can take it by force to water, but you cannot force it to drink. If you somehow the horse, because you are the master, you can force him to go to water. You can even force him to put his mouth near the water. It can do some kind of action as if it's drinking water, but may not drink water. So it is not advisable that we force anyone. We can, as a matter of duty, tell them 1 time, 2 time. We can make them meet some devotees, take them to the temple, but beyond a point, we should not force. The next question is Manikanta Shendre. I think we have scrolled up. This is from Sonia Ashpal. What about those people who die in their sleep? What kind of body do they get? It's said that karmana daiva netrena jantur deha utpatyate. Who is deciding? The Lord is deciding. Basis what? Karmana daiva netrena. So the Lord decides. We know the principle. based on this principle, based on the activities, based on, it's not, when we say even yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyasti ante kalevaram, it is not that last final moment. A sum total of our consciousness, what activities we have engaged in, will have a bearing on what we think at the point of death. Will have a bearing, and then on that basis, our next birth is decided. So the Lord decides, karmana daiva netrena jantur deha utpatyate. Prabhuji, since we are unable to go to temple, we become lazy to attend online Mangalarti and think that anyway it will be saved in YouTube, so we watch Aarti late. This has become a habit. Kindly guide. Habits can be broken. As I mentioned in the session today, we have to voluntarily exercise discipline. Discipline is the key. Krishna also says one who is regulated in his eating, sleeping, recreation, and work. So all different forms of laziness over a period of time can become habits, and sometimes habits are difficult to break. But with determination, with patience, with enthusiasm, we can break bad habits and cultivate good habits. And first is we have to aspire. We have to make that chestha. We should have that desire that yes, I want to attend Mangalarti every day. Yes, I want to get up in the morning every day. And then you may not be victorious the next very day. We have to tread that path. There may be failures. One day you may not get up. One day laziness will overpower you. But then again, we keep moving, keep learning from the mistakes, and keep moving ahead. And a day will come when it will become quite easy for us to engage. This is Soni Ashpal again. Prabhu, what about those people who die? This is covered. Rajesh Kumar Shukla, how people working in call centers or doing night shift can follow. I talked about Brahma Muhurta time. It is good to start the day or spiritual activities during Brahma Muhurta time. And a very question which is pertinent to many people these days who are working in night shifts or in call centers. The question is, how can they do? Let's say a person is coming back home from the night shift at, let's say, 3 a.m. in the morning or maybe late in the night. So all of us are in different circumstances. Even in our temples, during the Brahma Muhurta time, some devotees are engaged in cooking services. No doubt, that is also one kind of service, but they may not get opportunity at that time to chant their rounds. So understanding the principle is to find a time where we can, with quality, focus on our spiritual activity. That's the key. So if we are coming back late and night shift, we are not able to get up in the morning, then when we get up, find some 1 hour, 2 hours time slot where we are undisturbed and we can completely focus ourselves on spiritual activities. Make the best use of the bad bargain. That may not be an ideal scenario because morning time is the best, but if it is not possible, if the circumstances don't permit, choose the next best option. This question is from Venkata Krishna Reddy. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, why are there separate classes for men and women? Are we not the same sparks of the Lord? It's a good question. We have classes for young men separate, which is called folk classes. We also have classes for the grown-up men, married men and women devotees. So first thing we have to understand, we don't discriminate in that sense that it's only for them and not for others. It's a different section, a different wing, a different stream, a different, so to say, vertical. Because as a person grows in his spiritual life, the kind of challenges which he will encounter, the kind of counseling which he will need, the kind of people whom he will have to interact with, the kind of guidance what he will need will be different. A young boy who's going to college, the kind of questions which will be there in his mind vis-a-vis a person who is married, the challenges which he is facing practicing spiritual life will be different. Now you may say, okay, why not then have boys and girls together, young boys and girls together in the same classroom? Again, it has its different ramification. Boys and girls together in the same classroom talking about spiritual subject matter. Our scriptures advise, again, we will not get into details. Our scriptures advise in spiritual life, there is some element of control required over our senses. That's why if you see, again, it is not unscientific. The first ashrama in our spiritual life is Ramachari Ashram, where a person is trained how to control his mind, how to control his senses. So that's why, for various practical reasons, we have a separate section for young boys, and we have the same classes organized for the other sections of society. In that sense, we don't discriminate, okay, you know, this is only meant for them and not for others. We have a separate stream for catering to different sections of the society, and I don't think anything is wrong in that. Amrita Vasani, in the morning, if we only do kirtan or japa, is it not enough if we don't read Gita? As I mentioned, there are 9 forms of devotional activities. Depending on the time available, depending on our schedule, we can try to incorporate some of them. Definitely will not be able to incorporate all of them, but Shravanam or reading is very, very important, because Shravanam or reading or hearing will give context to our spiritual activity. Assuming a person is chanting and not reading, a time will come, the chanting will become very mechanical. He will not know why is he chanting and spending 3 hours, 2 hours in chanting. The context will be missing, and Prabhupada says the danger is those spiritual activities can become a burden. But if it's all the spiritual activities are backed with proper hearing, then we will know why we are doing what we are doing, and it will motivate us, it will inspire us to engage in those activities. Arunesh Sinha, how to never forget Krishna's lotus feet? Initially, it is not easy. We are all in forgetfulness of Lord. But as we purify our consciousness, as we engage in spiritual activities, slowly our natural attraction to the Lord will arise. Our love for the Lord will awaken. And at that time, remembrance of the Lord's lotus feet will become very natural. We will not have to struggle. It will be very easy for us to always remember the lotus feet of the Lord. This question is from Tara Chand Mahant. Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think this is just a comment, not a question. What is the best peaceful mantra which we can practice before sleep? We can chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is called the Maha Mantra. That would be the best mantra. No doubt we can also offer prayers to Lord Narasimha, seek his protection, chant Narasimha prayers before we sleep. This question is from Jay Prakash. Prabhu, could you please tell me the importance of having fasting on Ekadashi day? Main thing about fasting is on Ekadashi is the principle is that a lot of time goes in thinking, planning, and energy is spent in what to eat, cooking, and in other words, fulfilling our material needs. No doubt, eating, different material needs are also important. On Ekadashi, the principle is we keep our material needs as secondary. Instead of spending too much time in catering to our material needs, we spend quality time focusing on our spiritual needs. In other words, we, instead of spending a lot of time in planning and execution of what to eat, we spend time more in chanting and spiritual. That's the principle. Post spiritual sadhana, I am losing all my interest in my office work. This question is from Chandrasekhar Vaishnav. Post spiritual sadhana, I'm losing all my interest in my office work. Please advise what should I do? We should, Arjuna also, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, again, he is companion of the Lord. He was not interested in executing his duty. He is a Kshatriya, he is a warrior. And according to him is, what's the use of engaging in ghastly warfare? It'll be, even if I win, I'll not be able to enjoy the kingdom. So what's the use? Why should I engage? Why should I fight? Then he says, it's better I just stay away and beg and eat. But whole Gita is spoken by Arjuna, by Krishna, to inspire Arjuna to not shun away from his duty, but to fight to engage in, to do his duty as a Kshatriya. So likewise, we also have duties in this world. Initially, they all, we all feel that these all are, waste of time, why I should engage in all that. Just like I gave example of zeros and one. Initially, we may get a feeling that these are all zeros. There's no value of all this. But with proper understanding, with proper guidance, we will understand that yes, these zeros also have meaning. If I am going to college, I am studying something, that knowledge also has a meaning. Initially, it appears zero. What's the use of accumulating zeros, accumulating money? But with proper understanding, we understand that yes, one in front of those zeros have a lot of meaning, and so we try to practice spiritual life, incorporating that one in our life, and then who knows, we have many zeros with us. The circumstances such like that we have to engage in various activities. Then we have the satisfaction that these zeros have meaning because one is in front of those zeros. Suman Agarwal, this question from Suman Agarwal. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In Garud Puran, it is said that the soul is carried for about 11.5 months to Yamraji. But as you preached us that our next body is decided before our death, can you please explain? I didn't mention that our next body is decided before our death. I mentioned karmana daiva netrena jantur deha utpatyate. Karmana, according to a karmana, daiva netrena. Daiva means under divine supervision. It could be through Yamaraj. There could be various intermediate causes or deciding factors. I have not gone into those details. The Lord decides. Even Yamaraj, everyone is acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord. The Lord decides what will happen to that soul and what kind of body that soul will get in the next life. Rajesh Kumar Shukla, by the way, investment in stock market is not gambling. I answered that question. Not necessarily it is gambling, depending on how you invest. We should understand the principle. Based on that understanding, then we can decide the application. This question is from Vatsal Desai. Also, what should be the sequence of activities in Brahma Muhurta? Should we start with chanting and end with dhyana or vice versa? I would strongly recommend that you can, whichever devotee you are in touch with in the temple or you are acquainted with, kindly ask him, he'll be able to guide you, because there are many, depending on how much time you have, what's your daily schedule, how many rounds you're chanting, he can suggest what would be the best order and what you can incorporate. This question is from Lakshmikant. I'm working in government sector. I'm fed up with night shifts and COVID-19 duty. I'm asking Krishna to give me 10 crore rupees so I can practice full Krishna consciousness. Will Krishna give me what I want? If the desire is pure, right now I can see there are a lot of Krishna can do anything. That is the first thing. He can do anything. What 10 crores he can give? He can give any amount. He is Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambrama. He is worshipped by millions of Lakshmi Devis. So that's not possible. But when Krishna sanctions any of our wish, he takes into consideration many things, many factors, many parameters. So, like, is our desire pure? Like here I am saying that I am fed up with the night duty. Now, our desire is not just to engage in Krishna consciousness. Our desire is, it's a mix of frustration, it's a mix of, some material peace and prosperity and all this kind of thing. So best we can do our duty, we can offer our prayers to the Lord and leave it for the Lord to decide. Pratik Malu, please let me know how can we control our mind over anger. Does morning sadhana help us control our anger and anxiety? Very much. If we have done our chanting very nicely, if we have engaged in the morning program, we will have peace of mind, we will have stability, we'll have inner happiness based on which we will be not, so to say, pulled away by kama, krodha, lobha. All these are enemies which pull our consciousness. So we'll be in a strong position not to get carried away by all these vices and enemies which attack us. Piyush Bhosmia, is it necessary to visit temples? Again, the principle is that we have to come in touch with the Lord. There are many ways of associating with the Lord, touching the Lord. In Kali Yuga, the Lord, being very merciful, has come in the form of holy name. That's why chanting of the holy names is the Yuga Dharma. Not everyone, more so in present circumstances, we will not be in a position to go to the temples. But we can all chant the holy names of the Lord. So if the question is it mandatory to go to the temple? The answer is no. But nevertheless, temples are important because there the Archa Vigraha is there, the Lord is there, and when we go the temple which is spiritually surcharged, the Lord is being worshipped, there are devotees there, the pravachans are happening, it will help us in our spiritual growth. So temples do have a very important place, but in present circumstances where we cannot visit the temple, we can worship in the house, we can chant the names being in the house, and we can practice our spiritual life. This is from Rajesh Kumar Shukla. Gambling is something where you leave things on luck and can't change the outcome. However, stock market performance depends on company performance, which is pure skill and not gambling. As I mentioned, I'm not saying that we can completely not engage in stock market. Respect the principle. We should not be unnecessarily agitating the mind. If we can invest in some stocks from a long-term perspective and not be worried on a daily basis watching the stock prices going up and down, it's perfectly fine. This question is from Shankar Murthy. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, after getting up in the Brahma Muhurta, should we start the spiritual activities after taking a bath? Yes, it is strongly recommended, although it is not mandatory. Deepali question is, can we chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya? There is no harm in chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, or for that matter any bona fide authorized mantras, just like Gayatri Mantra. There is no harm, but all different mantras require some pre-qualification. For example, Vedic mantras only the Brahmanas, who are qualified Brahmanas, can chant. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is called Maha Mantra because anybody can chant. Any time you can chant, in any circumstances you can chant. You can chant even before taking a bath. A person has gone to a crematorium, in an impure state, he can chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Therefore, it's called Maha Mantra, and we can chant that Maha Mantra, although there is no harm in chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This question is from Chandrasekhar Vaishnava. I always plan to retire early for my job and do proper sadhana. What correct is this, the thinking? Retire early in the day or retire early from the job, take voluntary retirement and this thing. Depending on your financial situation, depending on your interest, depending on how your family is aligned with your spiritual interest, you can take a decision. Yes, we should not shrug from our responsibilities. We should do our duties responsibly to our family members, to all the other people whom we are associated with. And if that permits, if the family members are in agreement, we can take a voluntary retirement early and engage in spiritual life. This is from Pranay Pawar. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we work very late in the evening and by the time in home and go to bed, it's 12 a.m. Is it okay if I am up at 3:30 for Brahma Muhurta sadhana and after my morning sadhana and then again take some rest? We can try for some days, there is no harm in it. Although it is mentioned that we should ideally strive for getting 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep. I am not a sleep expert where I can get into details about what all functions happen in the body while we're sleeping, how the body gets rejuvenated. But I've heard that yes, uninterrupted sleep, we can always catch up 2 hours sleep now, 2 hours sleep later, 2 hours sleep after, let's say in the afternoon. But it is recommended that we have 5.5, 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Now, if you have tried this and it's working for you, your body is okay with that, and you're able to focus during the Brahma Muhurta time and still feel rested and proper body, you're able to cope up with this, nothing wrong about it. You can try. This question is from Sukanya Murlidharan. Is there any way to remove bad karma? In spite of doing good deeds, there is always a worry about karmas. How should we treat ourselves about the bad karma? They say that all the bad karma of the past, all the karmic reactions can easily be burnt when we engage in spiritual activities, more so chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It says that just like when we take seeds, bija, which are potent, which can germinate when we put on the soil, if you put it in a frying pan and you put it on fire, those bijas, once they get roasted, you put it on the soil, it will not germinate. So likewise, all the bijas which are there, latent sinful reactions in our mind-body system, which are stored up, waiting for it to germinate under the force of Kala, can be all burnt when we chant the names of Lord. But having said that, we should not intentionally commit sins knowing that we have a process which will burn the reactions. That is an offense to the holy name and we should not resort to that kind of a thinking. But unintentionally, unknowingly, in the past, all the sins I have done, we should not be too much worried about it. Done is done, happened is happened. Assuming that somebody has now come to Krishna consciousness and realized that in the past I have taken a lot of non-veg and we will have a lot of sinful reactions, happened is happened. We don't have to worry about too much about it, and we can sincerely chant and all the reactions will be burnt by the grace of Lord, provided we don't indulge in it again. This is from Vatsal Desai. While practicing dhyan, what should we concentrate on? I have started dhyan but just some days, so kindly suggest me an easier way. The most practical and recommended dhyan or meditation in this present age for everyone, the beginners and even for advanced people, is to chant the names of the Lord. We will have a separate session on Yuga Dharma, on why chanting of the holy names of the Lord is recommended specifically for this age. We'll have a detailed discussion in that session and I'm sure you will get a very convincing answer. But to be very short, just a short answer to your question, the best process for dhyan in Kali Yuga is to chant the names of the Lord. This question is from Sudarshan SK. Prabhu, whether yoga, meditation, exercise, etc. are recommended in Brahma Muhurta or chanting and worship. As I mentioned, Brahma Muhurta, before sunrise, that 48 minutes period is very crucial. In fact, before sunrise, we can try engaging in other activities, bodily activities like exercises, little later. Again, depends on how sincerely you want to follow the process, what time you are getting up, but exercises can be done little later on. Let's say after the sun has risen, we can do little later on, and we can focus more on spiritual activities during Brahma Muhurta time. This question is from Sunil Kumar. If person has intrinsically sattvic mentality, will the time of getting up matter? Vice versa, if a person is intrinsically tamasic, will it be beneficial for him to get up at Brahma Muhurta time? As I mentioned, Brahma Muhurta time is predominantly, there's predominance of Sattva Guna. And one more thing which I mentioned was that it's a time where the rest of the world is sleeping. So the probability of we getting disturbed or distracted or someone calling us is much lesser. It's not just the Sattva Guna alone. So that's why it is, as I mentioned, the many entrepreneurs, many CEOs now get up in the morning. They are not after Sattva Guna. They are not interested in this thing. They are quite passionate about their goals and passionate about their, so-called company's growth. But the main thing which they are banking upon or striving during the early morning hours is uninterrupted quality time. So apart from Sattva Guna, that is also a very, very important thing which is required for us to practice our spiritual life very nicely. This is Kuti Raghavan. Prabhu, why our sinful reaction immediately if we act immediately? We can correct ourselves immediately if it is possible. The question is not clear. Maybe next time, next session, you can write the question, phrase it properly so that I can give the answer. Shiv Kumar, when the morning program is disciplined and during course of the time, if we get hampered due to various reasons and the whole process is disturbed, how do we start fresh? Yes, it's a fact that some days it will get disrupted, because when we are in a family, we are living outside, there will be force of circumstances. Somebody is not well, somebody has to be taken to the hospital, and what if a person has slept late, he's not able to get up for a few days, somebody has come from outside, outstation, some guests in the house. So it is possible that we may get, the morning program may get disrupted, but we try our best to catch up. There is always a slip. There is a saying that don't allow the slip to become a slide. Slide is when you keep going down, 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 and down. A slip is when you slip for a moment and you get up. So the saying, it says, do not allow a slip to become a slide. What happens is when we slip for a day or two, then we get a feeling that what's the use? Anyway, I have now slept. Anyway, I have stopped. So some kind of a, we keep in our mind, a negative cycle gets triggered. What's the use? I'm good for nothing. I'll not be able to follow. We should avoid that kind of a talk in our mind. Slips are very much possible. It's part of life to err as human. One day it's possible that you keep an alarm, and when the alarm rings, you snooze it and you don't get up. But learn from the mistakes and avoid and try not to repeat them. And if suppose circumstances does happen that 1 or 2 days you're not able to do it, try to catch up very fast, recover fast from it. This is AV Surya. If so happens that for the living and to be in the company of the people, we end up in less and false egos, how do we continue to be in the system and still be spiritually active? As I mentioned in my talk in the session today, we will get dirty, just like we take bath. We take bath every day. We don't take bath weekly once. let's say on a Sunday we spend 3 hours, 4 hours and get so nicely cleansed that okay, throughout the week we don't have to now take bath. No. Every day we will get dirty. Every day we will perspire. So that's why to freshen up, we take bath every day. Likewise, we will have to hear something which is not in our self-interest, which will reinforce the bodily concept. We will have to engage in talks which is disempowering us spiritually. We will have to interact with people. We can always try to minimize, but we may not be able to make it zero. We'll have to see something which is not in our self-interest. So that's why we will get dirty, just like our mobile phone's battery will get drained. Now we have to recharge ourselves. On a daily basis, we have to recharge ourselves. That's why it says, Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevya. By hearing on a daily basis, chanting on a daily basis, hearing on a daily basis, whatever dust we have accumulated, we can cleanse ourselves. Now, how much dust finally accumulates depends on what is more, whether your cleansing is more or accumulation of dirt is more. If assuming that our sadhana is very weak and accumulation of dirt is too much, we are watching everything indiscriminately, watching all channels and hearing everything, seeing everything, eating everything without any discrimination, then the possibility is that dust accumulation is more than what I am cleaning with 1 or 2 rounds of chanting. So net, how much, whether you will purify or you will accumulate dust, depends on both the factors. How much spiritual activities you are engaged in and how much dust you are accumulating on a daily basis. This question is from Anup Gupta, and probably this is the last question. How important it is to take bath before Mangalarti? The Brahma Muhurta and pre-sunrise time can be consumed in quality chanting, as after sunrise quality of chanting goes down significantly. As I mentioned earlier, it is not mandatory to take bath before we start chanting. If we feel that we are able to chant attentively and do not want to waste time spending maybe 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, half an hour in the bathroom, we want to focus on our chanting, and we feel the quality of chanting is good and we are fresh, there's no harm. We can just wash our face and do our chanting. So with this, we'll stop. Thank you very much for joining us today. And some of the questions are still pending. We couldn't complete it because of the time. Look forward to having all of you again. Every Sunday, we have the session from 4:30 to 6 p.m. and we'll be soon announcing the topic for the coming Sunday. Hare Krishna. Thank you.